I brewed another beer with my sourdough starter, but this time I used hops. So, will it still be sour, or did the hops kill the fun? Okay, it wasn't that funky at all to start with, but still interesting, and yeah, here's the sequel. Let's kick it. I'm Dr. Hans, this is Dr. Hans Brewery, my channel about beer and homebrewing, and lurking in the shadows, as usual, we have Chewy. So after with the success of the first sourdough beer I brewed, I wanted to try something different. First time I used no hops, so I made a hop tea, poured some boiling water on top of 20 grams of water on hops, 5.2% alpha acid. I was aiming for like 35-ish IBU-ish, so I counted that as like a 20-minute boil. I want to keep everything the same as last time besides the hop tea. So I poured in the hop tea in the Igolo fermenter and filled up the water to that water mark. Then I added my sourdough starter, and after that 500 grams of medium DME. That was what I used last time, so I want to use that today also. So I set my fermentation temperature to start at 18 degrees Celsius at last time. Yes, and the doctor will convert everything into birds and stones. Thank you. The thing is, a sourdough starter will contain bacteria and will also contain yeast. And bacteria really don't like hops. But I could notice, but this is just an experiment. Don't take anything as fact here. But what I found was that it was a little bit slower. First time I started ramping the temperature on the second day of fermentation. This time I had to wait 3 days. Because I want to do the exact same thing, and the exact same thing is never to count in days, it's to count in fermentation activity. So the first time I had that like full pressure in the fermenter after 2 days, now it took 3 days. So it was definitely a bit slower. If that had to do with hops or just slower fermentation, we can't really say, but it's still interesting. Then after that, I ramped the temperature up 1 degree Celsius a day until I ended at 21 degrees Celsius, and after I saw that the krausen has fallen, because I didn't take any measurement this time either, but we'll take some measurements or send it off maybe. After krausen had fallen, I let it sit at 21 degrees Celsius for an extra 2.5-3 days before cold crashing it, and tried it this Friday in a BS video for patrons and channel members. And I do have a Sunday beer here. We can try that after we're done recording. Thank you. But if I would have told you, you would know that I already sampled the beer. Let's pour the beer and see what we're working with. Epic pour. Whoa, that is like creamy head on that one. Cheers. Okay, so here we have the beer. It's murky, it doesn't look good. The medium DME doesn't help the look really. It looks a little bit better if you hold it up to the light. Yes, this was an extract beer, but you can still apply all these experiments to all grain. Just saying before you start typing your nasty comments, please continue. Thank you. Let's give this one a nose. If you haven't watched the first video, maybe you should watch that before we taste this one. That beer was super sour, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Super sour, really like fruity, but not from hops, from fermentation. And I'm still getting like a fruity thing. As I said, going into tasting that first beer, I thought the outcome would be like a really dry wine ciderish beer, but that did not happen. I haven't taken a gravity reading just yet. Last time I sent this over to the lab doctor, so maybe we could do that this time also. I heard he had some really cool ideas for the sourdough beer series. Oh, You're back again. I'm obviously the doctor's own laboratory measurement guy. It is what expected. It fermented out just the same as the unhopped version. 1015, by the way. Means that hops doesn't really hinder the fermentation, but we will see how it will affect the sourness, of course. I could have, of course, tested for that, but I didn't want to spoil the video, so we'll hear from DrHans himself. I do have some experimental notes here that I want to run by you before I leave you. Of course, we have the hot fermentation. We really need to see what happens if we push up the temperature. So that's a no-brainer. And that's the top secret one. And of course, I slept on the doctor's madness there and come up with a finished idea for the Tzatziki Beer. I didn't know what to think of this, but we have the pizza beer. It's a go. But here's when things really start to get interesting. Let me take my glasses off. What if we did everything in our power to favor the yeast before fermentation? We know that yeast thrives better or grows faster than a bacteria. So maybe we could feed our starter 2 times each day and also learn from the old quake brewers and dry our yeast. Put it on parchment paper and throw it in a oven maybe, or I think the doctor even had one of this food dehydrator. Then we had dry yeast. Maybe you have to rehydrate that for pitch. Overfeeding the starter, drying out the yeast, that should favor yeast over bacteria. If we look at the last experiment here with like how much hops is too much, the bitterness sourdough beer ever. What if we brewed a real bitter beer and also introduced dry hopping into the sour beer? So that would mean that we would like combine these 2 experiments. We will have yeast versus bacteria, bacteria almost defeated, and we slap on a mighty IBU and dry hop to tame the bacteria. So why are we doing this then? Doesn't really make any sense now when I think about it. I think I start working on my top secret one. I will leave you there. Back to the doctor. Wow, that is some awesome ideas. Last time you also had some ideas on what to brew with our sourdough starter. So please continue with the suggestions, but now we need to dive in. Cheers. It's still sour, but I would say, okay, now I'm basing this on memory, but you know, I have memory built into my gum. It's super nice and it's still sour, but not as sour. I know I'm just using my taste buds here, but it's definitely not as sour. It means that the complex ideas on that yeast experiment that the lab doctor was talking about, we need to do it. We need to do it. It's gonna be hard work. So yeah, appreciate a thumbs up and a comment, but maybe not subscribe. It's definitely more beery. Huh? Not berry, beerish. Tastes more like beer than the other one. Well, the other one tastes like beer. And it's definitely not as sour. So we have the hops flavor in there, which is kind of cool. So simple, making that hop tea and brewing it so simple. If you're interested in Google F1, I do have dedicated videos and discount code and all of that. Link down below in the description. Cheers. This beer is a little bit more complex. It has no funkiness at all, which leads me to an idea I got from a member of the DrHans Brew Crew, Daniel Larsson. What if you would co-pitch the sourdough starter? And he was talking about maybe with the Belgian yeast to make it funky. But the thing that hit my mind was banana sour. How about we make a wheat beer with wheat beer yeast to bring on some banana flavors and no hops, and my sourdough starter. That would mean, if it works, we would have a sour banana beer. Let that one sink in. Are you up for it? And speaking of comments, we also had a comment from Steve Lipe regarding how much sourdough starter you should use. I'm probably using way too much, really. But this is like new ground for me, so I can't be certain, but the amount I use, especially the amount I used in the first one, will probably be enough for that 16-liter batch you were asking for. It might take just a little bit longer to ferment than my small batch here, but it also depends on temperature, of course. And regarding pressure, no one remembers a coward. I think these kegs are like rated up to 50 psi-ish. Let me see if we have some warning signs here. I can't find it anywhere here. The only warning sign I found is on the plastic. Struggling with your brew and crying over bad fermentation? Call 1-800-MAN-UP-BITCH and I will set you straight. I will have a look at the Agolo webpage and the editing doctor will chime in. Thank you. This was fermented under like 22-23 psi-ish and we ended up with a gorgeous beer. I did put a little extra kiss of carbonation on it afterwards, but yeah. Ah, you like the t-shirt? Available on my merch store with some other epic stuff. Check it out. The big question is also, would I brew this again? Yes, but do let me know what beer you want me to brew with your sourdough starter, or let me know if you are excited about anyone that I have in plan already. Chewy, you have anything more to add? No. Okay, that's it. See you in the next part. DrHans out.
That's all, beer bitches.